us MK Surana, the former CMD at HPCL, joining in on the show right now. Mr. Surana, hi, morning. First things first, who's going to bear the brunt of this price cut?
Good morning. And there is always an issue which comes for debate every time there is an increase or decrease in the price. But let's see in a larger perspective, there are three stakeholders for the oil companies. One is the oil companies themselves because they have to keep their financial healthy. There's a government because this is one of the biggest source of revenues for both government and state governments for in terms of taxes. And then the consumers because it pinches their pocket or it helps their pocket. And the consumer community consists of various strata of society, right from super rich to poor. And it is always a difficult task to balance the expectation of all the stakeholders. And the only thing which the oil companies and the government of the day can do is keep the discomfort to within the reasonable level. Now, this was an expected cut for a long time because it is almost 2 years since the prices have been changed. And I think most of the people were expecting the timing apart that it is just before the election, etc. But otherwise, it was expected because the crude price had been keeping within a certain range. There are more stability. The oil companies have recovered their past losses, and the margins are reasonable. So this was an expected move. But I think that this cut will help in the sense that it will bring more disposable income, more tourism, better availability of funds to farmers and the industries, and it will bring efficiency industries and will also help in checking the inflation. So I think it is a welcome move, and it was expected for quite some time, and I think that's the way it is.
Mr. Surana, now that code of conduct is around the corner, once election dates are there, code of conduct would kick in. So if hypothetically crude prices go up that time and code of conduct has kicked in, then what happens to oil marketing company retail prices? What happens to retail fuel prices?
So the question is, otherwise the petrol and diesel prices are supposed to be decontrolled. And apart from the political narration and the discussion and the deliberation which will go on, I don't think that the code of conduct actually affects the increase or decrease of the petrol and diesel prices as such. But let's see how it happens because the crude prices are maintaining within a reasonable limit, and I suppose that it should hold for some time now because the crude prices are maintaining between 80 to 85. And recently only there are some narration which are going geopolitically because of the demand production which has come from OPEC or IEA, and the always a story of whether the demand growth is coming from China or not China, whether the chemical growth is coming from China or not China. And that will keep on deciding the day-to-day narration on the crude prices. But as far as the crude prices remain in this 80 to 85 range, I think that there should not be any problem in maintaining the prices.
Right. Just Mr. Surana wanted to understand what the outlook could potentially be down the line with this now triple whammy on the marketing margins for some of these OMCs.
No, I think that the the margins for the oil marketing companies had been reasonable in the past few months, and the earlier losses also, I suppose they would have recovered. Of course, when we see the results, we'll know about it. Uh, and therefore, I think they should have leeway to absorb that. And we cannot expect to hold the prices for a long time if the margins are reasonable. And it will be the expectation of the consumer, it will be the expectation of the government, it will be expectation of the industries and all various strata of stakeholders that the prices should be kept within a reasonable range, provided that it does not affect the bottom line of the oil marketing companies, to ensure that the consumption pattern continues, the inflation remains in check, and at the same time, the oil companies are also able to manage their growth prospects and the bottom lines.
All right, Mr. Surana, really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.